before we do that, I was so blessed by something that happened this morning in our readings. Me and Haisha, or my wife, were reading through the book of Yasher again. And for those of y'all who won't read any apocryphal pseudepigrapha, just hang in there, because this nugget here will not disturb your ruach at all. But it just really blessed me. In the 35th chapter, this is after the story that we see in Bereshit, where Dinah is taken by Shechem, and the brothers of Israel convince the Canaanites, the Shechem and Hamor and his people, to all be circumcised. And this gives some additional detail in terms of what was going on. But right after that, we know the story that all of Shechem was killed by the Israelites, by Simeon and Levi. We see that in Bereshit. And what we don't see is that there was a plot to retaliate against Israel and to bring Yaakov down to the dust, him and all of his people. And the kings of Canaan had come together, and they were going to make war against all of the children of Israel. And the intention was to utterly destroy them. And so if you're interested in this story in detail, get the book of Yasher or the book of Jasher and read through chapters 34, 35. Read the whole thing. It's just awesome. But at any rate, for this part of the story, 34, 35, 36. And so these kings are going to come against Israel, and they had the natural wisdom to say, hey, let not a few of us go against them. So they confederated together, because they were going to, make sure that they had the power to annihilate them. And the Israelites, specifically Levi, Shimeon, and some really, really good wisdom from Yehudah, came forth to convince Yaakov that we need to go out and fight them, and that we should not be afraid. And that really blessed my heart, because so much of the time I find that the family, the mishpachah of faith, are often timid, and there's a difference between being reckless and being bold. And so my encouragement with this little segment here is that we might be bold in our faith, and that we might remember who our Elohim is. And so Yehudah gives this wisdom to his father, and the brothers all gather together, and they're ready to go out and make war, but they ask for Yaakov to pray. and then they go even further, and they ask for Yitzhak, who's still alive, to pray. And this really blessed me, because though I desire to see a greater boldness and righteousness of the followers of the book, what I want to make sure that's blended with is the power of Yahuah. What I want that to be blended with is the leading of the Most High, and the confidence in Him to do these great things, because set apart ones, we are surely outnumbered. There's more of them than there is of us, but we are not outnumbered, just like we see in the Tanakh, where one of the Israelites' eyes was open to see all of the messengers that Yahuah had sent to fight this battle. And so we're never outnumbered, though in our sight, we will find ourselves outnumbered, and it will encourage us to be scaredy cats, to be, afraid to go forth and walk in anxiety. And we must not submit ourselves to that. We must examine ourselves, even to the point to where we break these ties with fears and anxiety that is causing us to be weak and lily-livered in our faith. And this is not to say that everybody is to go and do this thing or go and do that thing, so much as this to say that for you to go and do the thing that the Most High is calling you to do, for you to perform that function that you have in the body of Mashiach, then you need to be bold. You need to be resolute in the sense that you know that he's called you to a thing and you're willing to stand in it. And so all of that to get to this point where the prayer of Jacob and the prayer of Yitzhak is answered in a way that you would not expect, because what the Israelites wanted, Levi, Simeon, Asher, and the rest of the tribes and all those that were with them, what they wanted was victory. They wanted to beat down all of these soldiers and these kings that had come together to fight against them, like Levi and Simeon had did to Shechem. By the way, the book of Yasher makes it clear that Simeon and Levi killed all those men in Shechem themselves. In other words, just the two of them. Not their armies, not their brothers with them, not anything other than them going forth to right the wrong that was done against Dinah. And they took Dinah back and brought her home. And so I'm saying all this to say that what boldness that is. And hallelujah, can we find this kind of boldness in Israel today? Can we find this kind of boldness among the Mishpachah, the ones who say that they believe Elohim? We find that we've kind of been, how would you, reclined to our own little places, and we are really careful, and that sometimes political correctness gets in there, and none of that can be equated to boldness. None of that can be equated to saying what is, and especially what thus says Yahuah. Hallelujah. All right, so I'm going to cut to it, and obviously I'm going to have to put this in a separate video because it's just a little bit long, and this is supposed to be about 2nd Shemuel. So here we go. So in chapter 35, all the kings of the Amorites came to stand in the field to consult with their counselors what was to be done with the sons of Jacob. And for they were still afraid of them, saying, behold, 2 men slew the whole city of Shechem. And Yahuah heard the prayers of Jacob and Yitzhak, and he filled the hearts of all these kings and advisors with great fear and terror, that they unanimously exclaimed, are you silly today? Or is there no understanding in you that you will fight with the Hebrews? And why will you take a delight in your own destruction on this day? Now, sometimes we can see that we're strong, or we got weapons of war, and that we got muscles, and we got strategies, and etc. But there is nothing like the work of Elohim to bring forth victory, to bring forth shalom. In fact, let me just say it this way. Shalom is oftentimes more valuable than victory. So if you learn to fight, oftentimes you make fighting your thing. You live by the sword, and there's this thing, it's in the scriptures, right? That he who lives by the sword shall die by the sword. Now, I know that that's like a soundbite, and that's not a complete understanding of those passages. So bear with me a little bit. And what I'm trying to say is that victory sometimes is in your shalom, and shalom overwhelms a victory. In other words, you don't have to always get blood in order to get shalom. So watch what happens. Verse 4, behold, 2 of them came to the city of Shechem without fear. I love it. Without fear, and they killed all the inhabitants of the city, that no man stood up against them. And how will you be able to fight with them all? Remember, these kings have gathered together, and they're coming down, and there's thousands of them. And so this is not making logical sense. There's thousands of them. Why shouldn't they be able to win? But the Most High has loosed unto them a fear of his people. Look at this next verse, which is the one I really want to get to. In fact, it touched my heart so deeply that I pray that you get a piece of it. This is what the enemies of the Hebrews said. Surely you know that their Elohim is exceedingly fond of them. I'm going to let that marinate. Did you know that Yahuah is exceedingly fond of you? See, See, you think what Juju did back in the day, you think what your parents didn't do, whatever. You think that all of this stuff defines your state. But the truth of the matter is that Elohim is exceedingly fond of you. Exceedingly fond, not like a little bit. Oh yeah. We still got issues he's still purging. There's sin that he's still dealing with. There's mindsets that he's still dealing with. But today, I am doing my best with these verses to deal with that mindset of inadequacy, that mindset of worthlessness, that mindset that says that you're nothing and you're just some little pea or whatever. Yeah, I know the book says Yaakov was a worm, or that worm Yaakov. And I get it. And it may be difficult for some of us to balance this reality, or that in our flesh there's no good thing, while at the same time the Most High is exceedingly fond of us. I guess it comes down to whose report will you believe and how will you walk it out? It is a challenging thing to be humble and to be strong. It's a challenging thing to walk in humility and not give way to pride like we're so special. And at the same time, know that the Most High, in Hamashiach, we can do all things. And I want to encourage you that your Elohim is exceedingly fond of you, and to remember, the rest of the verse, that he's done mighty things for them, such as have never been done, such as have not been done from days of old. And amongst all the mighty ones of nations, there is none can do like unto his mighty deeds. And so these Canaanite kings got this testimony, and maybe the Most High imparted it in them. Maybe he reminded him of it. If you keep reading, you'll find out, some of the answers to that question there. But even while I'm stopping right here, and I will stop right here, he had given this testimony that Hebrews up until this point had to stand in the midst of. Hear my words here. Not knowing the outcome, but believing in the outcome. Do you see the difference? See, because all of the lions and tigers and bears and Goliaths and etc. that the Most High has delivered me from, all of the battles that he's won on my behalf, hallelujah, it's so many I can hardly count them all. But all of those on the side of it before they manifested, all I knew to do was to trust him. All the Hebrews knew were to trust him. All you know is to trust him. And as you trust him and you find yourself going through and on the other side, then you know. And so I'm contrasting faith versus knowing in a way that I'm praying that he could close the gap on, so that our faith be right at the cusp of knowing. So our faith be so strong so that we be not intimidated by the works of the devil, who is, after all, subservient to our Elohim, just like every other creation. If Yahuah is for us, what can man do unto us? What can the devil do to us? What can anyone or anything do to us? And so I was so encouraged by that passage, especially that little piece of it that says, surely you know that their Elohim is exceedingly fond of them. And if that doesn't resonate in your ruach, I don't know what will. Because for me, it almost brought me to tears when I read it again. And it's like, my goodness, isn't that so true? Isn't that so true? So that's it for my little excerpt from the book of Yashar. And I think I'll cut the tape here.